Welcome to the Iron Will podcast, where we talk about overcoming adversity and challenges, creating the life we truly want, and how we use iron therapy to improve our mind and body. No matter what life throws at us, we need to develop an iron will to push through whatever stands in the way to becoming the very best version of ourselves. It's never too late, but now is the time for action. Welcome to episode 201 of the Iron Will podcast. What? That's right, you heard it, guys and girls. We're switching the name to Iron Will. Part of it is because I want to resonate a bit more with the change in our brand at Iron Hoss Gear, but really, with a bunch of the changes that have been happening, we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the episode, having an iron will, having a strong, determined force within ourselves to get through whatever we're going through, whether it's going through negative and hard things or whether it's just pushing forward on the positive things, we need to develop and maintain an iron will. We need to be unmovable. We need to be determined. We need to be able to push through whatever it is, whether it's forces from within ourselves, forces from the outside world. We need to be so determined that we're not going to let anything get in our way. And the only way to do that is to build and reinforce an iron will. Now, I also like the word iron will because I like the word iron because it represents the iron game. Training with iron, iron therapy, getting stronger, using the gym as our way of dealing with our stress, using intense workouts as a way to just feel better with the endorphin release afterwards, just to get the shit out of our system and put it somewhere where it's safe. Rather than take it out on the people around us, rather than take it out on ourselves and run with deep and dark thoughts, go in the gym, grab a barbell, grab a dumbbell, and rep that shit out. Get it out of our system. So to me, the word iron represents a lot. It signifies a lot. It ties everything in. One of the other things that, we were talking about, especially in the last couple of months of the old podcast, is I was finding out and I was getting feedback from a lot of women who said they were listening to the podcast. And originally, the Silverback Blueprint was put out there for guys over 40 and 50, which is good. But when I started to realize that we were resonating with women out there, it started to make me think. It started to make me think that the messaging is the same. Both genders, we need to be motivated. We need to be inspired. We need to be held accountable to ourselves. We need to hold ourselves to a higher standard. So like anything, we want to be able to pivot in life and adjust as we see things developing. As new doors open, new opportunities present themselves, we have to be able to decide, is this something we want to move towards? Having an iron will and being determined is very important, but we don't want to become so set in our ways and so hard that we're not able to adjust when things need to be adjusted for. So to me, the iron will, the term iron will, has a lot of power, a lot of significance. One of the things we're going to be doing is we're going to be changing a few things, how we do the internal workings and the magicianal stuff that Luke does for us in podcast producing. So in an episode or two from now, we're going to talk about how we're going to get you guys to switch over. Those of you that are subscribed, that do have us linked in your favorite podcast providing app thingy on your phone, we're going to make a couple switches, so you're going to have to come and resubscribe. I know it's a bit of a pain, but at the end of the day, we're just trying to make things smooth, unified, so that it's seamless, and it looks really good, and it flows really well. So we'll talk a bit more about that in an upcoming episode. But to me, it's been 3 months. Luke and I were just talking. It's just been over 3 months since I podcasted. Those of you that follow me on Facebook know that there's been a lot of changes. A lot of things have been happening. We had initially started Iron Hoss Gear, the new brand, the Evolution, back in April for our clothing and our accessories and a couple other things that we want to do. But again, in the last 6 weeks, as a lot of you may know, I've closed my training facility. I had a point where when I started to look at what was working and what wasn't working in my life, and I often talk about that, about taking that inventory, is I realized that certain things in my business weren't working out the way I wanted them to be, the way they needed to be. And there were some influences on me or on the business that were out of my control, that just weren't getting better. And that was a tough decision. That's actually a decision I labored on probably for over a year. And one of the reasons why I held on for as long as I did is because of the members, and I cared about the members. And I knew we had a very special facility and a place they called home. But when I sat down and truly looked at what was working and what wasn't working and what the cost was to me, not just financial, but emotional, energy, focus, stress, it just was something that had to change. A cycle had to be broken. And that's never easy to do. Now, it's easy to talk about when you're not the one going through it. It's easy to advise it to other people. But when you're the one who's knee deep in those rice paddies and the bullets are flying all the way around you and shit's exploding all the way around you, right? We get lost. We become fearful. We become tired, resentful, angry. And to me, those are natural feelings, but they're really meant to be a sign. That's really the world telling us, our subconscious telling us that things aren't right. Things have to change. Now, sometimes it's something as easy as making some changes. We made some shifts. We tried some different things. It wasn't just like, Tuesday was a little uncomfortable. I'm out of here. But when it became apparent that if I stayed where I was in a year from now, I would be in the same position at best, but most likely further in debt, more tired, more angry, and above all else, not moving towards the goals that I have for myself, the brand, my family. And that's the point where you have to do what's right for you. And it's not easy because there's going to be stress. There's going to be blowback. There's going to be disappointment. There's going to be frustration. And we often think about that. In fact, we often think too much about that. I read a really cool quote not too long ago, is that to become the hero in your own world, you often have to become the villain in someone else's. And I think that was one of the real fears I had and the real trepidations, is that I didn't want to upset people to the point where it was costing me and my family financial stress, emotional stress. And that doesn't work. Now, I don't mind if it's for a short term project, expansion, slight downturn. You got to buckle down. You got to batten down the hatches. You got to come together as a group and you got to fight through stuff. That's part of the iron will. But you also have to become realistic. You have to be honest. And when you see that no matter how much more work you do, when you're in a current situation and you see that it's not going to change, it's not going to get better without a massive adjustment, then you have to do that adjustment. You have to make that adjustment. You have to fight the fear. You have to fight even the laziness. Sometimes we put up with stuff because we're just tired. But we look at the change as being even more work. So when we're beaten down and we're tired, we're not going to make the best decisions. We're going to make a decision from a weekend point of view. We're not going to be in the best frame of mind. But that's iron will. Is making those decisions, coming to the point when you realize that a change has to be made. And then having the fortitude, the courage to be able to stand up, turn into it, and make those changes. Guys, I'm really excited for a lot of the changes that we've made. We're going to be able to focus on a lot of areas that I've wanted to focus on for a long time, that I was trying to focus on. But that was part of the issue as well. I got to the point where I realized that I was just torn in so many directions, that by the time I got to things that I really truly enjoyed doing, that I was passionate about, that actually would make more of a difference in the people that follow us in their lives, that would have an impact, I wasn't getting there. I wasn't getting there often enough, deep enough. And that's where I didn't want to waste any more time. I've often talked about it. Don't spend time doing something that's not right for you. But there I was, caught in the middle of a bunch of things that just weren't right for me. So it can happen to any one of us. The key is once we recognize it, we have to take action. And it's not easy, but it's always going to be for the best because it's what's the best for us. We're going to be focusing a lot more on the brand, a lot more on events. We just, in the last 8 weeks, 6 weeks, we closed the facility. We emptied out a 13,000 square foot facility full of equipment. We sold some of it. We moved some of it. We stored some of it. We also ran 2 meets in the meantime. August, we ran a bench only. This past weekend, in September, we just ran a 3-lift meet in Kingston. All at the same time. It's amazing what we can do when we're determined. It's amazing what we can do once we decide what has to be done. It's not easy, but it's empowering. Once you start moving towards the things you need to move towards, and once you make those changes, once you break those cycles and you see that you're moving in the right direction, the momentum, the motivation, the inspiration that comes out of that becomes unbelievable. In fact, it's the opposite of being tired. You're fired up. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. There was a lot of 18-hour days. In fact, I had one day we went 26 hours in a row as we were finishing, closing up the facility, having multiple conversations with people, trying to find good places to send the members and stuff. I wanted to make sure that as many as members as I could land on their feet somewhere, could make it to another place. I want them to keep training. I don't want them to stop. That mattered to me dramatically. What was really inspirational too is that the amount of facilities that reach out to me, my quote unquote competitors reaching out to me. Kurt, how can I help? So we were able to get our members to try different gyms, go to different places. And it was beyond them just trying to scoop up some extra members. It was them understanding what it's like to be in this business. And to sit down and see someone who's been in this industry for a long time have to make one of those big changes and close down and move on. It was sobering for everyone. So at the end of the day, making a tough decision had to be done. But making the best of it is what's really important. I just ran into one of my members yesterday. They wanted to pick up some more protein bars. They were just telling me, they're at a different gym. They're liking it, but they were saying how much they miss Hostile. And I miss it too. That's going to be a tough one to replace. But what was really cool is that their second comment to me was asking, how am I doing? How am I making out? And I realized, it reinforces to me that, I know what we've been doing for the last 10, 15 years has touched a lot of people, has helped a lot of people. So I'm in the right industry. I'm where I'm supposed to be. I just have to make some changes to keep doing it in the way that fits me and the way I want the brand to be. But that allows me to be motivated, inspired, and passionate so that I can turn around and instill that in others. It's really weird at first training in different gyms myself. I currently am a member at Anytime Fitness. I also train in one of the city gyms, depending on the type of workout I'm doing. But I have to tell you, I'm at a point now where I'm having phenomenal workouts. I'm working out every day, sometimes 2 days a week. Most mornings I'm in there doing at least half an hour cardio. Then in the evening I'm hitting my workouts, the powerlifting and the bodybuilding and the transformation. And I've had some of the best workouts in the last 3 weeks than I've had probably in the last 2 years. And one of the reasons is because the stress is not the same anymore. When I walk into a gym, it's all about getting a great workout in. I'm working out with 3 or 4 of my training partners at different gyms. It's great. Yeah, we have to get adjusted to some different equipment and not this bar, not this bench or whatever. But you know what? Those do make a difference. But at the end of the day, the group of us training together is what really has the power, the community. But I'm able to go in and do workouts and focus on the workout and rekindle that passion I have for training that I have had for the last 30 years. But with all the stress and dealing with things and having to come up with, trying to resolve things business wise and being stuck in that cycle, I lost a lot of that passion. Even when I was making that decision, I was questioning, am I still supposed to be in this industry? Is it time for me to move on to something else? Do I go sell mufflers? I don't know. But in removing the stress and getting past things, breaking a cycle and spending my energy moving forward to something positive, taking action, getting things done, took so much pressure off me, so much stress, the negative stress off me, that now I realize just how much I love training again. So that's the thing, guys, is that often what we think is lost inside us isn't lost. It's just buried so fucking deep with all the shit around us, the stuff that we put ourselves through, the stuff that we accept, the stuff that we pile on ourselves. So at the end of the day, we have to do what's right for us. We have to find out what's important for us to do, what our passion is, what our purpose is, and let nothing get in the way. Develop that iron will to push through and let nothing stop you from becoming who you want to become and doing what you want to do. Guys, it's great to be back. A lot of people have been asking about what the podcast, what's going to happen. Well, there you have it. We're back. The Iron Will podcast is here. Head on over to ironwill.com. Iron Will. I'm a little rusty. Head on over to ironhorsegear.com. Check out the cool merch we have under the new brand. Use the code word IRONWILL to save 20% off some badass merch and apparel. And I'll talk to you guys later.